The almighty US dollar, or more accurately, it is a Federal Reserve note, right? It's not really money, guys. It is a debt instrument, okay? This is not actual money. This is a debt instrument. Okay, so when we're talking about the twilight days here of the mighty US dollars, the consequences of its demise, and how you can benefit from it. Okay, let's get to it. This is the Hey Ed YouTube channel, and I am your host, moderator, and all-around nice guy, Edward Anderson. I'm not a financial advisor. Don't construe anything that I mention in any of my videos as financial advice. Always do your own research before doing anything with your money. Today, we're going to talk about the United States dollar and how it is losing its dominance in the world as the world reserve currency and the consequences of that, and how you can avoid being a victim of it. Not only avoid being a victim, but you can actually benefit from it. You have a big opportunity here if you know what to do. Okay, so I know that a lot of people do not like history. They consider it a very dry subject, especially when it comes to economics and finances, right? I happen to love history, and I am going to give you a little bit of a background on the history of the US dollar because it is relevant to the discussion. I'm going to make this a Reader's Digest version, so to respect your time, I am not going to be putting up a lot of charts and graphs and articles for you to read like I've done in other videos because I want to respect your time. And for the purposes of this discussion, for now, for the next 10 minutes or so, just trust me that what I'm telling you is true, okay? Just between friends, okay? So it all starts in the waning days of World War II, when the big industrialized countries of the world got together in a little town in New Hampshire called Bretton Woods. Yes, so in the future, when you're hearing other economists talking about the Bretton Woods Agreement, or it's Bretton Woods 1, Bretton Woods 2, they're referring to this little town in New Hampshire where these people met. And they came up with an agreement that really set the tone economically for the world for the immediate future and quite a ways after that. What they agreed to do is pool their gold. The United States will hold it, and they would peg their currencies to gold. And the US dollar, because America was in the strongest financial condition, would be the big dog in the street, right? It would be the world's reserve currency. And they tied the US dollar to gold, which put restrictions on how much we could spend, which is a good thing, right? Okay, so now fast forward, and in August of 1971, Richard Nixon decided to temporarily remove the US dollar from gold, okay? He's going to temporarily close the window. Of course, it's been closed ever since. These politicians, right? Because these politicians, they wanted to spend money, baby. They needed to spend some money, and they did not want to be restricted to the supply of gold. They had big plans, right? And besides which, we had a little thing going on in Southeast Asia that we needed to pay for. So they removed that restriction. And ever since then, our Congress, our government has been spending money like a drunken sailor. Actually, I'm sorry, drunken sailors, that's not fair to you. Our politicians put you guys to shame. Anyway, so that was the first big development. Next big development also came in the 1970s when, in order to prop up the US dollar, in order to make our currency more dominant in the world, we struck an agreement with Saudi Arabia, where we told them, listen, in exchange for us protecting you from all those bad guys in your neighborhood, we're going to ask you to conduct all of your oil buys and sells in the US dollar. And of course, that became known as the petrodollar, right? Now, the US dollar was not used just for oil, but it became the world reserve currency in all international trade. So all that international trade done in the US dollar really strengthened the US dollar. The US dollar, it was gold, man. The wrong term, right? It was the currency to have. It was the currency that everybody respected, that everybody loved. And now the plot thickens. Okay, so fast forward to last year, around this time last year, when Saudi Arabia said, you know what? Maybe we don't need to do everything in the US dollar anymore. We're starting to thinking about using, the Chinese yuan and maybe even the Russian ruble. So that was a shocker. That was a big event. That should have been a really big news story, but you didn't hear about that in the news. That was a tidal shift in the thinking around the world about the place of the US dollar. And then this week in Davos, Switzerland, at the annual meeting of the WEF, our favorite sinister organization, the most evil people on the planet, the finance minister of Saudi Arabia again said that he was open to the idea of conducting business in currencies other than the US dollar. This is a really big deal. Big deal. Now, China just so happens to be the largest consumer of Saudi Arabian oil. Okay, so you have Saudi Arabia, which is the largest producer of oil, and China, which is the largest consumer of oil, starting to make arrangements to do their oil transactions in the Chinese yuan. That is a very big deal. Okay, now right now, currently, the US dollar is still the world's reserve currency, but that is coming down. It was much higher. Now, other countries, even though their currencies represent a much smaller portion as world reserve status, they are coming up. So the trends are wrong for us. The trend of the US dollar is going down, and the other currencies are coming up. So the US dollar is gradually being replaced as the world's reserve currency. All right, so let's cut to the chase. What would it mean? What's the big deal that the US dollar is no longer the world reserve currency? Well, what it means is all of these countries around the world who have been keeping, boatloads of US dollars in their bank accounts in order to transact international business. Now they're saying, you know what, we don't have to hold on to those dollars anymore, at least not as many of them, right? So they're going to sell them in the open market. And those dollars go into circulation. So as these US dollars come back to our shores here in America, inflation is going to get even worse, because that is the definition of inflation, right? When you have too many dollars chasing too few goods, that is inflation. That's what inflation is. So when all those US dollars come flooding back, it's going to give us another very ugly leg up in our inflation. And it's going to have very deep ramifications in international trade, international business, and in the US economy. Okay, this could turn ugly. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. This is a steady development, and it's been going on now already for a little while. This year, 2023, this could be a year where things start to accelerate. All right, so that means inflation has the potential of running away. We could be heading toward hyperinflation. And dare I say it, we might even be heading toward an actual depression. Okay, so everyone knows about the Great Depression, right? That's the one thing I'm hoping they still teach in the school. Let's hope, right? But we could be heading in that direction. Now, for those of you who don't know, the last time credit card usage was at this level was in 2009. Does that year, ring any bells out there? Remember the 2008 to 2010 financial crisis? Well, people now are maxing out their credit cards at a bigger rate than they were back in 2009. One indicator that I look at is the default rate on loans. Now, the default rate on car loans is up 26.7% year over year. This is from a source in the car industry, that I follow. So now that's up 26% year over year in car loan defaults. All right. That's huge. It's massive. Now, that's not a crisis yet, but that's a very ugly trend. Also, defaults on mortgages are starting to creep up. They're not creeping up. They're popping up. They're spiking up. So the net result is I want you guys to be prepared for the next financial crisis. The last time around, too many people were not prepared. And that created a whole lot of heartache for a lot of people. And the repercussions went on for years. And I think that the next financial crisis is going to be bigger and longer than the last one. So what are we doing in the Hey Ed community in order to prepare for it and to benefit from it? I think this could be a huge opportunity for you to accelerate your wealth. You could actually become wealthy, okay, in this next move down. I mean, if you look back to the crash of 1929, people said, boy, imagine if I had a pile of money or gold and silver when that happened. And I could go out and buy, real estate, luxury cars for pennies on the dollar. Well, the same thing is shaping up here for you guys. So this is your chance. This is your chance. I mean, in the Depression of 1929, a lot of wealth was created coming out of 1929 for those people who took advantage of it, who are in a position to take advantage of it. I want you to be in that position. Let's create millionaires in this next big financial crisis. Let's not be victims. Let's make everybody wealthy. So if you don't mind, please give this video a like, because it does help the algorithm. Let's get the word out, and maybe even subscribe and leave a comment, because I'd like your opinion on all of this. I mean, I'm not a professional YouTuber, okay? That's not my aspiration in life, but I do want to get this message out. So please help me by hitting that like button. Okay, so how do we do it? How can we take advantage of it? Okay, so my mantra for a long time on this channel has been a set of 3 recommendations. Okay, number 1, you have to reduce your exposure to the traditional financial system, meaning your bank, for a few reasons. One is, when the next financial crisis comes, there are going to be bank runs and you're not going to be able to get your money out. And because any money you have sitting in the bank, any US dollars or British pounds, whatever your fiat currency is of your country, when that crisis comes, you're not going to be able to get your money out of the bank. Okay, or if you do, it's going to be pennies on the dollar. Okay, so and remember, any money that you're sitting in your bank account is legally not considered your money. You're considered an unsecured creditor. And don't talk to me about this FDIC insurance. That's a whole nother video. The FDIC is woefully underfunded. They have nowhere near enough money to cover the money that's sitting in bank accounts. Nowhere near. So you can't rely on it. That's all a lie. Okay, don't believe it. So get your money out of the bank. Number 2, take some of that money and put it into gold and silver. Listen, gold and silver might sound like oh yeah, that's just for rich people. Listen, gold and silver is the only actual money in the world. When you buy gold and silver, you're not really buying anything. All you're doing is moving your assets from a really bad asset class called fiat currencies into a solid one. These guys have been around for 5,000 years, as currency. The fiat currencies, like the US dollar, fiat currencies have a 100% failure rate. Every fiat currency in existence that's ever existed has failed. And right now you're saying, but that couldn't happen to the US dollar. Why not? The US dollar, remember, is not backed by anything. It is literally just paper. Literally. It's not backed by anything. The only reason why this guy has any kind of value is because everyone agrees that it has value at the moment. But that value is going down every day. In terms of buying power, listen, any money you have sitting in the bank, you're losing money on. It's a guaranteed loss. Those of you out there who are saying, yeah, I'm risk averse, I don't like to take risk. I'm smart. I keep my money in the bank. Well, you're just guaranteeing a loss, because you're losing money on that fiat. It's a guaranteed loss. What's inflation running at now? You take what inflation's running at, and then you subtract whatever little crumbs you're getting interest rate from your bank, and that's how much you're losing. You're losing money every single day in terms of buying power on your US currency. But by putting that money into gold and silver, you're going to maintain your buying power. And number 3 is you need to establish streams of passive recurring income. A year ago, having passive recurring income was nice. It's always nice to have extra money, right? But now it's not a luxury. Now it's a must. You have to do it. Now, in the HeyEd community, there are 3 programs that we're focused on that achieves these objectives for people. Now, I'm not making this video in order to promote those programs. However, if you do want to join the HeyEd community, we would love to have you on board. Shoot me an email, and I'll send you a link to the HeyEd WhatsApp group. And if you want to get into these programs, we can talk about them. But these are programs I'm very selective about. I get ideas thrown at me all the time. There's a reason why I settled on these 3. These are programs that will do all 3 for you. It'll get you out of the traditional financial system. Now, I got one program for gold and silver that I love, and I strongly suggest to everyone to use. It's the best source of acquiring gold and silver that I can find. Now, I've done videos on all of these programs, but in the HeyEd WhatsApp group, we do regular Zoom calls for the group to talk about these programs and to talk about other things in general. So it's a great group of people, a lot of fun. I'm just really blessed. I'm really lucky with the quality of people that we have in the HeyEd group. So shout out to everyone in the HeyEd WhatsApp group. Hey guys, sometimes we get on a Zoom and we don't talk about anything. We talk about little stuff like how was your vacation? How was your kid's birthday? We are all in the HeyEd group on a mission to secure our personal freedoms, because our governments are not looking out for us. They're actively working against us. They want to control every little aspect of our lives. And the single best thing you can do to secure your own personal freedoms is financially. Okay, so we show you how to do it. So please be aware of what's going on with the US dollar, what's going on in the markets, what's going on in the world globally, in the financial markets, because this is going to affect you directly. You don't think it does? It does. And if you're not paying attention, you're going to wake up one day to a very ugly reality. But if you're proactive and if you plan for it, this could be a watershed event for you. So a little bit of summary here, okay? What you want to do in the face of all of these valuations going down on your dollar, on your real estate, on your car, on all of your assets, the thing to do is to try to maintain your buying power, maintain where you are right now, and maybe make some progress on it through the form of these passive income projects that we do, right? And then you put them into gold and silver, right, to preserve your buying power, so that when the US dollar goes to pot and when real estate goes to pot, you're able to sweep in and get this real estate, whatever hard asset you want, for pennies on the dollar, because you maintained your buying power with these guys. Okay, maintain your buying power, so when the misery comes around for everyone else, you can take advantage of it. You can go in and you can buy those things for a song because you maintained your buying power. So in this next big financial crisis, don't be a victim. Look at it as a big opportunity. Join the Hey Ed WhatsApp group, get into some of these programs that we're doing, and take advantage of the next big calamity in the markets. Ed Anderson, live from Minnesota, signing out.
Copy that.